As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to the Crunch Time Sports Show with Jeff Iafrate and Booner. It is Monday, March 2nd. We're back from the NFL Combine. Busy week down there in Indy. A lot of things to get to today. It is a packed Monday. David Montgomery traded. Graham Glasgow has been released. We'll talk about that. Maybe some free agent options that can replace Montgomery. Kory Woods joining the show. We got our post-NFL Combine mock drafts in the second hour. Takeaways from the Combine. Different prospects that impressed us. Plenty of things to discuss on a Monday. It's good to be back. And number one, I just want to say this before we get into all the sports talk. We appreciate the support over the last week. All of our platforms, basically the last 6 days, have done amazing things to you guys. We've crushed on every platform. The support's been really awesome. We were down there first time credentialed, and the support was amazing. So we had a big week, and we couldn't have done it without you guys. So it was fun to be down there. It was good networking, good picking up all the content we got, but the people showed out, and the numbers do not lie. So much love to you all.
Yeah, shout out to people. What a day, honestly. For just the Lions world. There was like just news after news after news, and then obviously post combine, there's a lot going on, a lot of news coming out. I mean, the Pistons are the number one team in the NBA right now. The Tigers are playing baseball. The Red Wings are about to make the playoffs, and some reason the Lions. You know, it feels like we're just starting to heat up with the Detroit Lions because free agency starts next week. You're probably going to get a bunch of restructures this week. The Combine just ended, so everyone's kind of dialed in for that after a disappointing Lions season. And then today, obviously, the David Montgomery news, the Graham Glasgow news. It feels like everything's just moving fast here in Detroit, which I think is a good thing. I think we all like to stay busy in the sports world. So I'm fired up. And yes, everyone in the chats, like every single team right now in Detroit is unbelievable. The Tigers and the Wings announced a new television thing today, a TV thing, which is insane on itself, dude. Like it's a good time to be in Detroit. I'm pumped up. I'm excited to talk to Kory today. We talked to him at the Combine. He was very gracious and one of the best humans in the world that I've ever got to meet, Kory. So I'm pumped up to talk to him about his thoughts on the D-Mont stuff. I have honestly too, Jeff, I have a lot to say about a lot of things today. So I'm excited to kind of get after it.
Well, it's not wasting
crazy
any
being
time.
home too, by the way. We were gone for 6 days. It was the longest 6 days ever. It was a good 6 days, but the reason it's the longest, it's not even just like I've been gone for weeks on end before. For people who don't like, dude, we wake up at 7 a.m. every morning and we don't go to bed until some nights. I mean, there was a night or two that we were in bed at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. And it's just because we're just out networking, trying to meet people. You sit down somewhere and you start talking to people and, until 2 a.m. And it's just, you barely got any sleep this last week. So it's good to be back.
Dude, it's the only time everyone's in one place like that. Besides, like the Super Bowl,
media execs, head coaches, some players.
Yeah, it's just different out there. Jay Hart, we appreciate it. Member for 16 months. Proud of you guys. Keep going, fellas. We appreciate you, Jay Hart. I didn't say that. Appreciate the $5. One day the boys get media desks at the Combine and draft. You guys did awesome. Honestly, I could listen to you guys just talk during Combine workouts. We appreciate that a ton.
That'd be awesome. Maybe we'll get a desk next year, man.
Yeah, definitely. Big plans there. It's our third year. We're only trying to build, continuing to build. But let's not waste any time. Let's just get into it because the big news that happened today, which it was one of those things. I don't know how many times you've had this experience where like you see something and you have to like look twice at it. Like I saw Dave Montgomery gets traded to the Houston Texans. I'm like, what? Not that I was surprised, but it's just so surreal seeing it like actually happen. I guess I don't know. It like threw me off.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a lie. Tom Pelissero put out the Lions are trading running back David Montgomery to the Houston Texans. The Lions got a 4th round. It was originally reported as a 5th round pick by Adam Schefter. It's actually a 4th round pick and a 7th round pick and offensive lineman Juice Scruggs, who's I think is from Penn State. I remember covering him.
Penn State center. Yep.
When he came out of the draft, I remember looking at him. After 3 seasons,
22, I believe,
is heading to Houston, a team that desperately needs a running back to pair with Woody Marks, and they've just been trading all their offensive linemen. Really,
they've been making moves.
Yeah, they have.
They have been making moves.
So I guess we'll just start. Initial reaction to it. Can we just say this and make this very clear? Jeremy Fowler, you were correct. You were spot on with your reporting that maybe not Demont. I don't like the phrasing of it. I think Demont quoted it because I didn't say it. It was true. He wanted out of Detroit. He told somebody in the Lions building he wanted out. Doc did say and told us when we were out to dinner that he saw Mike Disner and Jeremy Fowler talking. Not sure if any of that's correlated, but what I will say,
you would think so, right?
It has to be, right? He gets the information. So credit to Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. He was spot on with the reporting. That's why Brad Holmes, we were at Media Day, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell didn't really comment. They didn't give anyone much confidence he was coming back at the press conference. I mean, they pretty much said the player has to want to be here, which signals that Demont wanted out. I don't think he wanted the PR that he wanted out, but he wanted out. And it was confirmed today. He goes to the Texans. So your thoughts on that, Boo? Your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, listen. The biggest thing is, one, you said that perfectly with Jeremy Fowler. I think I was going to tweet it out. I actually deleted the tweet because I just was like, this doesn't even matter at this point. A lot of people owe an apology to Jeremy Fowler, and I heard Kory say it. A reporter of that stature is just never going to put a report out that's fake. Do you know what I mean? He's gotten to
his reputation's on the line. His reputation.
Yeah, working for ESPN and one of the best to do it in our industry. He's not going to just put out a report being like Demont wants out. If he's never said it, no one's ever said it. If he didn't hear it, whether it came through the agent, whether it came through someone close to Demont, whether it came through someone in the Detroit Lions, someone said it. And that's where I honestly, and if I'm being honest with you, Jeff, I think it's a good learning moment. And I think it's a great learning moment for people who work in the industry, but as well as fans, because when we put the news out, when it got reported, a lot of people take this down, delete it. Jeremy is a lot he's lying. This is fake. No one, Demont would never say that. Look at what Demont said. People need to understand it's these reporters don't just throw stuff out there to throw stuff out there. It's the same thing with the Doc and the Max Crosby thing. I know a lot of people didn't like to hear that they backed off, but I could guarantee you, as much as you a lot of people might go at Doc and think, obnoxious and might not like whatever it is, the comments that I get, no one's going to put a report out unless they actually hear that this is a thing, right? Someone was talking about it and heard from someone. All this, none of it's fake. It's all real stuff. And it's the same thing with the Demont stuff. And I think the biggest thing when that report comes out, it's as soon as it happened. I mean, for us, it's people are throwing stuff at us and commenting and telling us to delete. Hey, Booner, this is fake.
Yeah.
Listen, connect the dots. Go back to earlier in the week on Tuesday when Brad Holmes says, we want Demont here. We can't, and he literally says, we can't force somebody to want to be in Detroit. You can't. As soon as you hear a GM or someone say, we can't force a player to want to be here, what does that mean? That means the player probably wants another opportunity. And it's not a bad thing, right? Demont doesn't hate the city, doesn't hate the Lions, nothing. He obviously wants another opportunity to go be an RB1 and get more touches. And if you saw the video that Demont put out, shout out Chef Geach. Chef Geach talked to Demont, and Demont sent him a voice message. In the message that Demont sent, it said, hey, sometimes, things run its course, and I appreciate the Detroit Lions organization for giving me an opportunity to go out there and actually have a better opportunity, is essentially what Demont said. So you connect the dots. At the end of the day, it had nothing with, if you want to be mad at Brad didn't want to get rid of Demont. I think that's pretty well known. I don't think Dan did. We talked to Drew Petzing in one of the hotel lobbies for about 10 minutes. Drew Petzing was extremely high on Demont. I think everyone in the organization wanted to keep David Montgomery, Jeff. I think what it came down to was Demont wanted an opportunity. And then Mike Garafolo put a report out there that Houston was actually one of his top destinations that he wanted to go to. And they were able to get that done, which is, it's good by Detroit to do it the right way and do that for David Montgomery.
Yeah.
I just, again, bottom line, I said I had a lot to say about it. I think it's the biggest thing is people need to realize, hey, just because Demont didn't and try to say that he didn't say, he wanted out. Like he straight up just wanted out of Detroit. I wish he didn't put that tweet out there because I don't want to say D-Mont lied in there or anything like that because I love D-Mont. He's one of my favorite Lions ever. But just straight up say, like, I wanted another opportunity. Like, don't put out there to the fans that, I never said. No, you did. You connect the dots. You did. You wanted out of Detroit, and you got the destination you wanted to go to. And I'm going to root for D-Mont the rest of his career. I'm not going to sit here and how people got mad at Stafford for asking out. I would never do. I'm not mad at Stafford for asking. I'm not mad at D-Mont for asking. It's his career. So I think they're going to find an opportunity, Jeff, whether it's the draft or free agency to replace him. And then this just really just opens up the door for Jahmyr Gibbs, man. I saw the odds right after this happened. Jahmyr Gibbs is the favorite to win Offensive Player of the Year in 2026 already. He's the number one in sports books. So that was kind of my thought on the D-Mont stuff. I think it's easy to connect those dots. I still have people that are telling me like D-Mont didn't want to leave. He was kind of forced out.
Yeah, you know what camp he's in? I'm learning. Actually, I've thought about this today. Max Crosby, I think, is handling the Las Vegas situation the exact same way. I think he wants out, but he doesn't want it reported he wants out. So whenever he goes on interviews and he gets asked, he's like, I don't know. He acts like he wants to stay, but he wants out. It's being it's being reported thoroughly that he wants out, but he doesn't want the bad PR. He wants the PR to be, Max wants to be a Raider for life, but they're going to trade him. It's the same thing with D-Mont. He doesn't want the narrative that he wants. Too bad. I mean, it's just that's the reporting. I mean, you want out. It is what it is. People understand it. I understand it from D-Mont's perspective. You're almost 30 years old. He's probably going to want another, dip, at some cash. And if you're RB2, you're not going to make as much as if you go to Houston, although, they don't have an O-line, but still as an RB1 to command what he could command. So I understand it from a business perspective, from his point of view. He gets probably one more payday after this, not a big one, but something. And he needs to be an RB1 to do that. So I think it's fair on both sides. The Lions would love to have him. I don't think anyone can blame the Lions for this. I saw people trying to go at the Lions. It's like, dude, their hands were tied. They had to get rid of him.
If a player wants out, player wants out. What are you going to do? You're going to keep him?
Credit? Great trade. I thought it was a great trade. Fourth and a 7th round pick, and you got an offensive lineman that's going to play. He's depth. But I'm cool with that. I'm cool with the 4th round.
I'll say this. I think the original, and you said originally Adam Schefter tweeted out the 5th, which he did. I think there was a 10, 15-minute gap there where Schefter tweeted that out. And if you notice, there was about almost 20 minutes in between to where the, it all updated to the 4th and 7th into player. From what I've seen and read and what I've heard, it was originally a 5th round pick. There was a second team that came in and tried to block the trade. I'm not saying block it, like completely not make it happen, but they were trying to block them from Houston getting D-Mont, and they put in an offer which made Houston up what they had to give up. So originally Houston, it was just a 5th round for David Montgomery. It was Houston 5th for David Montgomery. Team reportedly, or it's a rumor that it was the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos came in to try and block it, to try and get D-Mont and not let him go to Houston. And as soon as that happened, upped it. Brad ended up within that stretch, ends up getting a 4th and a 7th into player because that team hopped in and tried to do that, which is crazy to think that that's how quick things can change. You know what I mean? Like Shefty literally tweeted out a 5th because that was the original comp. And that was remember, again, this is also goes back to the report from Jeremy Fowler all week long. Part of that report that he puts out, this is how he was accurate with his reporting. 5th round pick, right? Like the talk is a 5th round pick.
It was he said day 3, which
day
right.
3 pick. He put in there, he said day 3, 5th round pick. It insinuates like Jeremy was not right. He obviously this is a conversation that was ongoing that he heard the whole time. The only reason it moved off of a 5th round pick was because within that 15-minute stretch of getting about to go through, the team hops in and forces Houston's hand to give up more compensation. Which again, that if you're Brad Holmes, if you're originally about to give up or get a 5th for him, all of a sudden you get a call and hey, Nick Caserio, Broncos just came and offered a 4th and a 8th. What can you give me? Here we go. I'll give you a 4th and a 7th and this backup interior offensive lineman.
Yeah, and Matt N says, imagine Monty going to the Broncos after they hired Morton. Now, the writing was on the wall how he was utilized last year, and I've said this multiple times through this whole process of will they trade him or not? Can you find a running back that can in free agency that's affordable, that can basically be Monty? I don't know. I think Monty's a very good back. That's going to be hard to do. But if you're telling me I need a running back that can come in and get 700 yards in 17 games, they can do that. But D-Mont was never going to sit here and have 700 yards a year. Like he can go get 1,000 yards. Yep. And if you want to utilize him that way, then it's worth it. You're paying him as a top 13 back. But if you're going to keep paying him as a top 13 back and utilize him the way they're utilizing him, it's a waste. Like you're spending too much money on David Montgomery then. It's like if you're not going to use the guy as he should be used, then go get somebody else in free agency. There's a bunch of names I saw today, and someone put in the chat, I was going to bring it up. James Conner got released. That's a guy. There's going to be guys that you can bring in to play that role that will probably be cheaper than a David Montgomery. That would be an RB2.
Did James Conner get released, actually?
Yeah, I saw.
Is that official?
It was reported by it was reported by Matthew Berry. They're expected to release.
Okay, they're expected to release if they can't reach an agreement on a cheaper deal. Yeah, I mean, if they don't, I think that would be really good option.
It's an example, but someone like that. There's other guys. There's Tyler Algier. He was an RB2 in Atlanta. I'm assuming they're going to probably go and not only get cheaper, but probably get someone in free agency. Maybe you dip into the draft. Like we were at the combine. This is another thing we noticed a lot being there. They met formally with a running back as well. Like they've met with a lot of running backs. They're doing their homework on running backs.
Yeah. I think like you're looking at an RB2. I think the biggest thing with this is, and I don't think people we were blessed with to have D-Mont as the RB2. But if you're going to try and look and, when you want to open up Jahmyr Gibbs' game a little bit more, you're obviously going to give him more touches. But you can, I think this opens the door for the Lions to draft a running back in the 2nd to 4th round this year. I know you don't have a 3rd round pick, but you just added an extra 4th round, right? So think about this, Jeff. And I know we're going to talk draft later, but just think about it. Like you had D-Mont on an $8 to $10 million deal, correct? You just added a 4th round pick. You could probably find a guy in the 4th round when it comes to running backs, maybe not instantly on D-Mont's level because D-Mont is a top 20 back in this league, but you can find someone that can get you some production, a running back in that 4th round.
For $1 million a year. That's about
so you're essentially just taking away from the $8 to $10 million contract and you're moving it to a rookie contract and getting similar production, right? And that's where I think Brad looks at it. And I know you're only saving $1.5 million a year on D-Mont this trade because of the comp and all of that, but it does make a lot of sense to where I think it opens the door for 2nd to 4th round Lions drafting a running back now. And like you said, it wasn't just formally they met with the guys; they also informally met with a lot of guys, and they're doing their due diligence. I think at that running back position, and it's a Jeff. Dude, it's a running back class that's not high end, but it's deep. Like there are a lot of dudes in this running back class that you can get. Like someone in the chat, I think, just put Mike Washington. Like there's Mike Washington. You have both of the Penn State guys. You have the Notre Dame RB2. That could be a 2nd, 3rd round guy. Like there's not like 10, 15 guys, but there's 4 or 5 dudes that if you end up with one of them, they're gonna give you production. Like it's just the way this running back class is. So
my preference is you go through the draft. I think, like you said, they met with Nick Singleton, which he's slowly, like I got the chance to speak to him. I asked him if he met with the Lions. He said he met formally with the Lions. They drilled them with questions, ball security, pass protection stuff. And, it's basically what you guys see when you see the Sam Laporta interview or you see the Jahmyr Gibbs interview where he held the ball and they were testing his ball security. That's basically what they did to Nick Singleton. So keep an eye out on Nick Singleton. I think he could be a guy they definitely look at. But like you said, you picked up another 4th round pick, use it on a running back. I prefer it. 4th round picks are making about $1 million. And you're telling me Woody Marks, all due respect, Vital from the Chargers, these guys are getting 700 yards. It's 17 game season, dude. Like, You know what I mean? Like you could find someone that can get 700 yards. Now, I think what Jahmyr Gibbs and people aren't going to like this, and I'll say it, and you can disagree with it. I need to see Jahmyr Gibbs over 17 games prove that he can be a 1A true back and handle the workload. Because last year, it felt like we were clamoring more for David Montgomery, and I don't want that to be a storyline this year. Because then people are going to be like, oh, They got rid of David, and now Jahmyr's having his moments. Like, I think this is an opportunity for Jahmyr to kind of cement, yeah, I'm a top back in this league, talent-wise, but I can handle the workload of these top backs. I can handle the workload of Saquon Barkley, who led the league in carries and got 2,000. I can handle the workload of Christian McCaffrey, who leads the league in touches. Like, I think this is a good opportunity for Jahmyr before a payday to stay healthy and do that, because he's not as big as these other guys. He's very talented, no question. But I think it's a opportunity for Jahmyr for him to kind of capitalize on that. Because
I
we
think
talked about the last 6 games.
It's a big opportunity for him. Again, I'm going to stick with it too, Jeff, and I know you might disagree. I'm going to stick with it to where I think if the Lions focus on, obviously, you let D-Mont go, right? You trade him. I'm sticking with it. I think if they put their focus on building an offensive line, it changes that whole thing for Jahmyr Gibbs, because we've seen him behind a good O-line. He's different. Like 2 years ago, you never had the question, can he, he only averaged 3 yards a carry or less than 3 yards. We never had that question 2 years ago because it was a good offensive line. So I think, Brad, if you're going to make the move to move on from D-Mont and you're going to try and go, maybe younger or a different guy in RB2 and really give Jahmyr the load, you better be going all in on that offensive line this year. And I think it changed. Like, you'll see with my draft tonight, like, it changes, in my opinion. Other people might have other opinions. In my opinion, it changes how you approach this draft when it comes to the standpoint of ready now talent at the offensive line. You see what I'm saying? And I think it changes free agency, how you approach it. Like, you have to make sure you have a good center. You have to make sure that interior is good. And you have to make sure, you want a backup for Taylor Decker for the future, but you have to look at this year. And right now, Taylor Decker's at left tackle. And you have to make sure if left tackle is Taylor Decker, right tackle is Penei Sewell, you better have an elite interior if you're rolling with Jahmyr, man. You better.
Honestly, you know what I would do in the running back room? I don't think it'd be a bad idea to sign a veteran, not for anything expensive. Sign like a vet, draft a running back, and then cut Vaki. Honestly, just cut him.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people today when this happened. People are like, "Oh, so why is everyone forgetting about our 4th round pick, the running back?" And I was like, "Hey, I'm so far out on that." And I love Vaki. I think special teams wise, good. He's just been dude, I remember at training camp that he was going through all these injuries, and his first practice back at training camp, we were there, and he finally took over RB3 over Craig Reynolds, and he's starting to get reps. And within 10 minutes, he's already on the sideline, holding his back, hurt, out for the rest of the practice, questionable for the game that week. And it was like he just took over Craig Reynolds' spot. You just can't trust a guy that can't stay healthy. Like, D-Mont was constantly healthy. Jahmyr Gibbs, knock on wood, constantly healthy, even when they get all those reps. So the Vaki thing, it's just you can't put all your eggs in the basket of a guy that you can't trust.
They had to get Sailors. I mean, they had to get Jacob Sailors, who's basically a UDFA, and he took over the role, which, shout out to Jacob Sailors, man, for everything he's done. But they got to improve that position. They double dip, I believe. I think that would be the route I think the Lions take, is you sign a veteran and draft a running back, roll in with 3 backs, and whoever wins the RB2 role wins it. If it's a rookie, if it's the veteran, who cares? And you have depth at running back there.
I think too. So obviously, bringing the Graham stuff up, obviously people already know.
Yeah.
Graham Glasgow got released. I think they saved $5.5 million from Graham being released today. Love Graham. I thought Graham, great Detroit Lions. I think he played 7 seasons here. Awesome. Legend. I think with the 100% a legend. I think Graham gave a lot to the city of Detroit, to the Lions organization. Not a bad thing to say about him, but I think it was the right move, man. You save $5.5 million, and then when they traded for D-Mont today and they got Juice Scruggs, from the Texans, he's essentially a center, and that's going to be your backup center. I would hope that they don't look at Juice Scruggs as their starting center. That would be really disappointing, or even a starting guard.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that they brought him in shows, originally, what do we say? We were like, let's let Graham be your 6th man. If you need if a center goes down, let him step in for a game. If you need a right guard, he steps in for a game. That's Juice Scruggs now.
That's it.
That's him. And if you're giving him another, different scenery outside of Houston
for cheaper.
For cheaper. He has a ceiling. I'm not when I say high ceiling, I don't mean all pro, but I'm just mean ceiling's higher than Graham's. He still has an opportunity to kind of grow and get better. Obviously, it just didn't work. He's a 2nd round pick, so he has some sort of talent. But I think that's just the reason with Graham. I think as soon as you bring in Juice Scruggs, you could save $5.5 million. So today you essentially almost saved $7 million when you were negative 12 million going into the day or something like that, maybe -8. I can't remember the exact number.
The big thing, it's really foreshadowing what's to come. They trade Montgomery, save a little bit. It's not a lot, save a little bit. Cut Graham, they save $5.5 million. They're going to restructure Goff. Not sure when, but it's going to happen. It makes too much sense for both sides. They're going to sign a center. I don't believe, there's no way, even though I love Jake Slaughter. I think Jake Slaughter should be a Lion, and we'll talk more about him later. There's no way, based on Brad and Dan's comments, that they're going to go into the season with their rookie center as the guy. They can still draft one, but they're going to want a veteran in there. Now, who is the question? Is it Connor McGovern? Is it Cade Mays? Who is it? I don't know. But they're going to sign a center. I think this basically just gives that away. I mean, you're freeing up money here and there, and Juice Scruggs is more depth. But, and who knows? Depth, like you said, depth with a little bit of, hey, he's younger, maybe he can turn into something. But this, to me, what happened today kind of foreshadows they're going to bring in a center for sure. It's coming. I just don't know who it is and at what price. But $5.5 million could be like half a contract for one of these guys. I mean, I don't know. It depends on who you sign, I guess. But they're definitely going to go into free agency and try and grab one of those guys to play center.
I think people should be a little positive too, because I think a big question was like, I think we knew like the offensive line had to get fixed, and Graham was kind of the starting, like the starting, like, what is it called? Not the building block, but the domino effect, where it's like, what's going to happen with Graham? He was your starting center. Are they going to try and roll with them again, or are they going to move on? And I think everyone, as much as we all knew we had to move on from Graham, I think it was more so like he's a big piece in that locker room, right? Like Dan and Brad have always been like, we love our guys. Are they going to be able to separate from their guys? And I think today, I know it's a sad day for some people because so many people liked David Montgomery and so many people liked Graham Glasgow. They're very likable guys. But I think today showed, in my opinion, Jeff, that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, they're willing to part ways with some of their guys in order to get better and build. That's what today showed me. Because in the past, you haven't seen them get rid of guys that are loved in that locker room. They did it today. Whether the Demont thing, like we talked about, in my opinion, it was Demont that asked out, but they still were the ones that were able to like be like, okay, we're going to get this done for you, and we're going to part ways. Someone
in the chat was asking about Juice Scruggs. So he's played every position on the interior. He's played left guard, he's played right guard, he's played center. I think he had more success at center, I believe, was the narrative, but he's played all three. He's played like center, left guard, right guard. So
yeah, I got the snap count. The snap count was, hold on, he played 950 snaps in the NFL at left guard, 568 at center, and 143 at right guard. So he's a lot of left guard and a lot of center, but he's also played right guard as well.
And they don't need a right guard because they got Tate there. Let's bring in our good friend, covers the Detroit Lions for MLive.com, Kory Woods. Talked to him last week. He was there in Indy, and we're going to get his thoughts on everything that's transpired today. Kory Woods, how we doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Busy day. How you guys doing?
Yeah, no, we're doing good, Kory. Things are happening. You get back from the combine, and we had a great week, so we appreciate you. Kory showing us love last week. He's a real one. And things just happened today, Kory. You got David Montgomery getting traded, Graham getting cut. We'll just start with David. I think you did a great job on Facebook. You broke kind of everything down on this David Montgomery stuff. Can you just, in your mind, kind of explain to the people that might not have the full context, like how – because at first people were like, Jeremy Fowler's talking out of his ass. The report's not true. David clarified it, and then bang, he gets traded. Turns out Jeremy was right. What's kind of your perspective on this whole debacle with the David stuff?
So, I'm going to try to walk through this as cleanly as possible because, with all of the, moving parts, it can get a little bit tricky. So, when you see Jeremy Fowler's report, it said that David Montgomery wants out of Detroit, and then it followed by potential trade compensation that the Lions would want. The report never said that David Montgomery specifically told Fowler that he wants out of Detroit. It just said David Montgomery wants out of Detroit. And we know what that means. That could be, that could come from an agent, that could come from an executive, that could come from coaching staff. front office personnel. Jeremy Fowler, he's well respected in the business. I don't see him putting his name on the line for some fake news. And he said he got the reports out of Indiana, and everybody, from Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, and all the upper echelon Lions staff, they were in Indianapolis for the combine. Now, when David Montgomery reshared it and said, "Damn, Demo told you that," okay, that wasn't really him debunking the story. Just like, hey, did you hear that from me? He didn't say that it wasn't true. So there's that right there.
Right.
I think when you look at it, it's kind of interesting because, first off, at the end of the season presser, let's go over here. Super Bowl media week, David Montgomery spoke highly of Drew Petzing, said they had a conversation, and Petzing shared his vision for where he would use Demo on the offense. Petzing said it was a very surface level conversation, but that he was excited to go ahead and get to work. That's one thing. And then earlier this week at the combine, Brad Holmes says, hey, we would love to have Demo back, but he has to want to be here. And he didn't go too deep into the talks, but he said they were fluid and they were healthy. But when Brad Holmes said that David Montgomery has to want to be here, that let me know that everything on his return wasn't as peachy as maybe Montgomery may have made it sound during Super Bowl media week. And there you go. Some couple of days later after Holmes said that, they go ahead and they trade him. And I think the trade that they got back, there was talks about the 5th rounder, and which is fair because, again, at the start of the season, Montgomery is going to be 29 years old, and we all know that once you get 30, things starting to kind of get a little tricky with running backs and their health. So the fact they were able to get a 4th, the 7th, and offensive line depth, I thought that it was a solid haul. Anybody thinking that the Lions are going to get like a 3rd rounder or anything better than that, they are totally tripping. And also, too, here's another thing, too. During the end of season, I know I'm kind of getting along with it here, but here's another thing, too. During the end of season presser, Brad Holmes, and I'm paraphrasing what he said, you can go back and look in there so you can show you that I'm not pulling this out of thin air. Brad Holmes said that if they were to move David Montgomery, they were going to move him to a place that will allow him to flourish, and that would be good for him. What did they do? They sent him to one of his preferred destinations. So if the guy asked to be traded and they did right by him, I mean, what more can you ask for? I think it's a smart move because you don't, his 2-year extension was set to kick in this season, and you do not want a guy in the locker room who just does not want to be there or is not going to be satisfied with his place in the rotation. So all around, whether you like the compensation or not, I think it was a solid haul and a solid move by the Lions.
Yeah, Kory, what do you think kind of the next step is? Moving out from David Montgomery, obviously they're going to need another running back, an RB2. Do you, at least in your opinion, do you think this is something where they might like some guys in the draft, so it's like, hey, let's get a cheap rookie deal? Or, I mean, we've seen Brad Holmes in the past, obviously, when he got David Montgomery. He went and got David Montgomery, on a pretty mid-level deal out of Chicago as a free agent. Do you think he kind of goes that route because we've seen him do that in the past, or do you think that they're going to take the rookie route?
I think what's really going to be telling is what these restructures look like over the next couple of days. That'll kind of tell the story of which direction the Lions go. As of right now that they have that extra 4th rounder, I wouldn't be surprised if they went ahead and looked for some running back talent in the 4th round. But, again, the Lions have been here before under the Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell regime when they had Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift for a couple of years. And then after that, they switched that whole thing around in that same offseason by signing David Montgomery to a multi-year deal and then drafting Jahmyr Gibbs. So if history tells us anything, the Lions are definitely going to invest in a running back to pair with Jahmyr Gibbs so they can go ahead and have that 1-2 punch. Just again, I would want to see what the money looks like on the next couple of days when they restructure, if they try to see if there's somebody out there in free agency that they like. But to me, the smarter pathway, now that you have this extra 4th rounder, would be to go ahead and grab a younger back.
Kory, I want to ask you about the Graham stuff. Graham got released today, saved the Lions like $5.5 million. I I think the takeaway for me, and I talked about it today, is like this just basically sets up that they're going to go sign a center. I mean, you trade Montgomery, save a little bit of cash. It's not a lot, but they still save a little bit in the short term. And then Graham, they save $5.5 million. They don't have really a center at this point besides Juice, I guess, Scruggs, who's more of a depth option in my opinion. But what was your kind of reaction to the Graham stuff? What other players do you expect to kind of get restructured? And then is a center on its way, Kory?
I wouldn't be shocked if they went ahead and grabbed a center somewhere like in between, again, the second round, or if Brad Holmes gets creative, we know he can, and somehow finds himself back into the third round and he grabs the center there. But I think the smart move would be looking toward the draft. I know a lot of people were thinking about, getting Lindenbaum, but they're talking about he's about to command top money on the free agent market. So you might as well just go ahead and punt that idea away. And then also, too, just pay attention to what's about to happen over the next couple of days with teams releasing players. But I think the draft is I think the draft is the way to go right now. I mean, you have you need to infuse that offensive line with some youth. And I know the Lions have discussed moving Tate Ratledge over to center, but again, this is a guy that never took a snap at center in college, and a guy that is reportedly comfortable where he's at guard. So if he's comfortable at guard, I think the smart play is to leave him where he's best suited, and then to go draft somebody has the experience of being being a center. That's just for me the smart way to go about it.
What do you think, Kory? Obviously, the combine just wrapped up. We saw you out there. What were some big takeaways from you? Position groups, maybe, that Lions fans can keep an eye on going into the draft here. Was there anything kind of surprising or things that changed your mind? I had a couple position groups before we went in, and I was maybe not that big, and then I started looking more into it when we talked to more people and watched the combine, where like safety was one for me, or there's a lot of safeties in this class. Did you have something specific out of the combine for Lions fans maybe to look at a little bit deeper?
Well, we know that they're going to be investing in the offensive line, and we believe they will be investing in edge rusher depth. So let's kind of put that to the side, because those should be some givens for them. But, to what you just said, I was really looking at two positions that I was kind of like really going hard on, and that was safety, potentially a cornerback, but not early in the draft, later in the draft, and then wide receiver only in this regard. And I think Jeff knows where I'm going with this. I was looking at Caden Weejan from Iowa as a potential return specialist to grab him in the later rounds, because again, you're talking about infusing the roster with youth. This guy, Khalif Raymond, he's getting up there in age, and Weejan, two-time Jet Award winner for the nation's best punt returner. This guy is just extremely fast. His vision is on point, and this is a guy who said he was hoping to meet with the Lions to showcase why they need him. So, I mean, who knows? And again, he could be saying that about any team. Of course you want to get drafted, but I just think that that's a way for them. That's what I was really looking at: safety and somebody that can be a real, a kick return specialist, because we know they need an edge rusher. We know they need a center. We know they need, to get a tackle and a guard. They pretty much just, again, infusing youth. But again, aside from that, I'll look at those two spots.
Well, we appreciate the hell out of you, Kory, for joining the show as always. Keep up the great work. I know you're busy. You're going to be crazy next 2 weeks, probably. You got free agency.
Free agency starts next week, so it's about to be fun. But congrats to you guys too. You guys I seen you guys out there working the room at the combine. You guys did a really good job.
Hey, appreciate it,
Kory. Hey, shout out to you too, Kory. You introduced us to people, man, taking us in, which was unbelievable.
Hey, man, that's the whole point of it, man. I ain't no gatekeeper.
No, we know you. That's why we appreciate the hell out of you. You guys can follow Kory at Kory Woods. Stay on top of Lions news, Kory. I mean, just keep crushing it, man. I know it's gonna be crazy for you, but that's why you're one of the best in the business. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, peace out.
There you go.
Thanks, Kory.
Kory Woods joining the show, updating the fellas when it comes to what's going on with the Detroit Lions. And
Kory's the best, dude. Unreal.
Yeah, no, he is, man. He really is. I don't think people understand like what Kory's done for like us and me personally through my career. He's a great guy. So please go support him. Follow him at Kory Woods on Twitter, on really everything. And he's a great follow. There's going to be so much things that happen. I mean, I don't know when the golf restructure happens, but it has to happen this week, right? Like it has to happen.
I think people talk about the golf one. I think people are going to be shocked. I think there's going to be like 2 restructures this week. And like you said, it has to happen. You have free agency essentially starts next week, the tampering period. Like I think it's Monday or Tuesday. They're going to have to start negotiating, getting deals done next week in free agency. You're going to have, or at least have a sense of the money that you're going to be able to have. You know what I mean? Like I the Jared Goff one, if people were to like wonder what deals are going to get restructured, I think the Jared Goff one is 100. I'm not going to say 100 because you never know. There's always a chance. 99.5% chance that contract gets restructured. I'm not sure. And I saw someone in the chat, or it was either in the chat earlier, or it was a tweet, a comment on one of our tweets. People are like, what's the holdup with the Jared Goff restructure? I don't know. My only answer to that would be, one, they had the combine this last week, and you know that Brad's locked into the draft. I know they have a staff to handle things, but that's something. Mike Disner's a guy that helps out with that stuff. Mike Disner was at the combine. We saw him multiple times walking around in the lobby. So like, we know he's out there working. I think it's just a thing where it's like they've been busy the last week. Maybe it's probably something they've talked about and worked out. They just did the Demont stuff. The Graham thing just happened today. I would think it's on the agenda for this week. It's just like, hey, getting things done in a certain order. I also think that either Amon-Ra or Penei are going to get restructured, because the restructure, we talked about it before, Jeff. When you restructure a deal, you're obviously pushing it back a little bit more and opening it up for this year. But also, like, you're really essentially locking yourself in for longer with that player. The one thing is, when you do restructure, you're going to do it with someone, one, with a really high cap hit, but also number two, someone that you feel comfortable that's going to be on your roster for years to come, and you're not going to want to move on from them. Yep. I think Penei and Amon-Ra are those two guys. It just depends on which one's willing to do it, and also maybe which one's the bigger, what one can you get the most money out of when it comes to the restructure. So yeah. I think a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen. My prediction is there's 2 restructures. It's Jared Goff, and then it's either Amon-Ra or Penei. And I think they're going to open up a good amount of money. I know a lot of people don't like it too, because it does put you in a little bit of a hole. But I think this is an offseason where you want to pay a center. You want to find another offensive lineman. You want to make sure you have another safety or an edge rusher, right? You want to make sure you have someone across from Hutch. Want to make sure you have a good corner. Like, there are a lot of needs that you have. It's essentially, in my opinion, with Brad, you have the picks to get guys in here, but also you have an opportunity to go all in free agency and go out there and get some things done. Eric Taylor just put in the chat, restructure McNeil for sure. 0% chance you restructure Aleem McNeil. I'm sorry, Eric. I don't mean that at you. But if you restructure Aleem McNeil, that means you're locked into him long term. I don't think that's the case with Aleem. You have an opt-out after 2026. I think there's a real argument to be made that you opt out of the Aleem McNeil deal next offseason, or you trade it. One of the two. But if you restructure him, then you're stuck with him, and I think he's a good player, but the amount of money you'd be paying to be stuck with him is just way too much. I'm
glad you gave that clarity, because I think when people hear restructuring, like, it happens a lot where it's like, oh, you're save money. It's like restructure all the big contracts. It's like, no, there's a lot that entails. You're stuck with that player. So like you said, you do foundational players. So Penei, Amon-Ra, Jared. Jared, people are like, well, no, Jared. You got to do Jared. He's a $70 million cap hit. Like, you got to restructure. You
can open up $40 million with him. I think it's like $43 million, or is the exact number?
Yeah, you got to do them. So they'll have a lot of money to work with. Whether that, and I like I said before, if they're restructuring, if they're planning to restructure, plus you're releasing Graham, they don't have a starting center. They have something planned. I mean, as calculated as Brad Holmes is, there's something planned. They're not going to leave free agency without a center. I promise you. Book this Monday, March 2nd. There's no question they're signing a center. So it'll be interesting. Now, we did get to go to the combine and watch all the prospects, which I'll tell you this, like, you asked Kory about just different position groups you were excited to see. I think we all go into it with the same mindset. We all go into it as Lions fans and, part of Lions media. We know what the team needs, right? Offensive linemen. You're looking at different positions, safety, in case what happens with Kirby, and Brian Branch. You're looking at maybe linebacker. What's going on with the linebacker group? You're looking at edge. What's going on? No, maybe AQM is going to get paid. And even if so, you want to upgrade that edge room. But then you go in, when we go into it, you're like, dang, like there's some good players here. And it's not just because, like we always say about the combine, it's not just the underwear Olympics where you're like, oh yeah, this guy ran fast, he's probably good. What happens at the combine for me is how I talk about it every year. We go to the combine, we watch players, and then after the combine, I have a group of players that I'm like, I got to go rewatch this guy because I didn't know he checked all the boxes and with all these athletic tests, all the athletic tests. But on top of that, we get to speak to players, which we haven't had that exposure the last 2 years. So we got to go up to players. We got to speak to players. We got to get to know the player, the person, and look into, is this guy a Detroit Lion? Like, is this guy someone that fits with the culture the Lions are trying to build? We know what Brad Holmes and Dan want. They want a specific type of player and person. So with the access we had this year, we got to really see like, okay, we like this player from afar, but is this dude a Lion? Does this guy check the box? And I'll tell you what, I walked out of the combine. We left the combine in my mind with like more of an openness to like other positions. I think we go into it like, oh, they have to prioritize O-line and edge, but it's like, oh, they might need, this might be a sneaky need. There's some good players here, good players there. So we'll talk about some guys that, kind of took a tight end as well. Forgot to mention that. But we'll talk about some players that really stood out. Like, I don't know if you want to start with the best or you want to start with maybe some guys. Like we'll talk about other position groups.
I'll just say this too real quick. I'll just to carry off what you said with the combine. Like my thing with the combine is I know a lot of people, I think you said it one of the days after we got back was like, listen, the combine, people call it the underwear Olympics and all that. When you're there and covering it, or even if you're a fan watching it and you're a coach, whatever it is, you obviously know a lot of these guys already. But I don't know who it was that you said it, Jeff, but it's like when you start hearing some of these guys' names, it makes you go back and be like, wait a second, like, what is this guy about? You know what I mean? And especially like when you're in the, face to face with some of these guys, you're like, man, this guy is like, he talks to the media very well, extremely mature. He knows what he's, everything he's saying. You're like, wait a second. Okay, let me go back and watch this guy's film. Let me go back and see what this guy's like. That happened, I think, this week a lot. And I think it happens every combine. And for me, at least, Jeff, I don't know. Listen, I'm not going to talk for you but tell me if you thought the same thing.
Yeah. You
kept hearing how this class doesn't have, the high end talent where you're going to get a Hall of Famer no matter what in the first round. Like it doesn't have that. The one thing I love about this class, it reminds me of the Brad Holmes draft class of 2023, where Brad drafted. I don't think in the moment we all were like, oh, these are all pros. But when he drafted J-Mo, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, when he drafted those guys, you knew right away, like he got starters, right? Like these guys' floors are like automatic, like they're starters in the NFL. I feel like that's what this draft class is like. I feel like at each position, like I can go from safety, Jeff, and you'd be like, yeah, you have Caleb Downs, and then all the way down to Lorenzo Styles. And Lorenzo Styles is going to go probably like the third round, like day 2, 3. But he could be a starter in the NFL at some day, and you're like, yeah, he's a starter. But then you have the kid from Oregon, you know what I mean? The kid from Iowa. Like you just have so many dudes, the Toledo kid, all these starters, and it's like, hey, they might not be all pros, but you could draft a safety in the first 3 rounds that are going to be a starter for you. And I think it's the same thing with the corner position. I think it's like the edge room, Jeff. Like you can get starters in the first 3 or 4 rounds. Offensive tackle, there are potential guys who need work, future starters. Same in the interior. Like that's how I kind of took leaving the combine this year was like, dude, there are a lot of starters in this draft class. And for Lions fans, I think today with the David Montgomery trade, you added, I think it's pick 128 is what you're going to end up getting in this year's draft. You have 4 picks in the top 130, and you have 5 picks in this top 150. Of those 4 or 5 picks, it feels like Brad adding that extra pick is such a big deal because there are a handful of starters at different positions in this class. So I think it was even more valuable being able to get 128 instead of originally it would have been a 5th round, 160, 170. Now you get a 4th round, 128. Dude, like you're going to be able to get a dog at 128 that, depending on the position, could fill into as a starter for you, not only just this year, but even in the future. You know what I mean? Like, and think about it like this, Jeff. First thing I thought of today, I think I texted you and Lukas this instantly as soon as we found out they got the 4th round pick. So, boys, they got 2 4th rounds this year. Like, think about how many high level players are in the 3rd round this year. We don't have a 3rd round pick. Either Brad's going to use that extra 4th to move up into the 3rd, or he's going to use that extra 4th to go get another player, from a different team. Whether that's adding it I know people hate this, a Max Crosby deal, or so be it. But I think the picks this year are pretty valuable because of how deep this class is with starters. Not all pro guys, but starters.
Yeah, that we've seen classes like that where it's like, oh, this class is underwhelming, and then you look back and there's like multiple all pros. I mean, that's just how it goes. There's just not, when people say it, it's like, well, there's not big time names like at edge. There's not a Myles Garrett, or there's not, quarterback. There's not like.
But I could go into the 3rd round and pull out a guy where I'm like, hey, he's going to be a dog in the NFL.
Yeah, there's guys that I mean, especially, and this is what's really convenient. What the Lions need. There are nice options at those positions, man. Like tackle, center, even though center's not super deep, but they'll be able to get it. There's centers that are projected like the top 100 that are going to be starters and very good. Tackle, like I said, edge, safety, tight end. I think it's a sneaky good running back class. It's not like you said, there's Jeremiah Love, and then it's like, okay, but there's still guys. Linebacker, we got to see some linebackers work out. Very good. So, when you talk about guys, and I'll just say like a guy that we have guys that we talked about before we went to the combine that we were, we like the tape and we like watching the guys, and we're like, well, this guy seems like he'd be a good fit. And I know we talked a lot about Keldrick Falk last week because he did kill the combine, and he did, on top of that, he nailed everything in the interview process, and we got to hear him speak, and he does kind of fit like what the Lions want, whether people like the player or not. It's just the reality is he kind of checked those boxes. He sounds like a Lion. He does. I wish he could have produced this year at Auburn, but it is what it is, But like, for example, like that, like the interviews, like, I got to hear Jake Slaughter talk. Sounds exactly like a Lion. You got to hear different guys speak, and you're like, this guy sounds like he'd be a Detroit Lion. So is there anyone that you want to bring up, guys that you went into it or maybe you left with where you're like, this guy for me stole the show or impressed me, or he's rising? Anyone you want to bring up initially?
I mean, do you want to go position group by position group? Because I don't want to, because I'm going to forget someone if we don't.
Let's do it.
We can go position. What position group should we start with?
We could start with the offensive line. We could start with the offensive line and just work
tackle. Yeah, I mean, we could start with tackle. I think there's 2 guys. I think Spencer Fennell, a lot of people are talking down on him. I'll talk about him a little later. I think the fact that, and I know usually it's a negative for a guy to be like, oh, he's too small for tackle. I think it's actually a positive for him that there's a chance. Like we saw him snapping at the end of the combine workouts. I think that's the fact that he's going to be versatile and be able to. He's going to be able to play all 5 positions and be good at all 5 positions. Now it depends on where he's going to be great at. Who knows? But I thought I know a lot of people had him as a faller this year or in this combine. I thought that was I think it's a good thing for him. I'll say this though. Two guys that I like, obviously Monroe Freeling. I've been talking about him for weeks now. I love Monroe Freeling, and I think it's the upside, especially that Taylor's coming back, just being able to kind of stash him in a way of just like let him work, learn from Taylor, Panay, Hank Fraley, Dan Skipper. I think it's intriguing because I think his ceiling is like all pro level as a tackle. And then another offensive lineman, I'm just going to go tackles because that's what the Lions need right now. But Max, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but
I think it's Ianchachor.
Max Ianchachor. Lions formally met with him. And I thought interviews were extremely well when we talked to him. And then you go back and watch some of his stuff at Arizona State. Dude, he plays like angry. He angry player, really, really good power, everything about it. I'm not going to get all the details, but I think he is an intriguing guy coming out of this combine as well. Second round guy, though. Like if the Lions want to go edge in the first round, I think that's a good pick if you're looking at a second round pick. So those are kind of the tackles that nothing really like there's no like, third, fourth round guys. And I was like, oh my gosh, Jennings Dunker is a tackle, but probably play guard. He's always intriguing.
Yeah, and there's a, like you said, Monroe Freeling. He had the longest arm length. I mean, he's got like a 7-foot wingspan, which, like, people look at arm length. He had 34-inch arms, which, 34 and 3/4. So he's big hands. He's 6'7". He ran like a 4.9 40, 4.93, something like that. So dude's got, like, I mean, when you talk about like what a tackle should look like, that dude looks like a tackle, like a starting tackle with that arm length, with that size.
You're talking about the Arizona State kid?
No, you're Monroe Freeling.
Oh, Monroe Freeling. Yeah.
He just checks like
he's so raw. Like he started like 15 games, and that was a question even when we were, the media was talking to him. People were asking him like, do you like, is that a concern? Like, is it going to take time for you to learn? And like someone asked him like, why do you feel like it was the right time for you to come out? That was just one of those things where it's like, he's like, well, I've gone up against a lot of good competition already. So he's like, I felt like I'm ready for it. If you throw him into the fire right away, is he going to be ready? Who knows? Because he's put good film out there, but he just hasn't started a lot of games. Where some guys have started, like Fano has started 3 straight years at right tackle. I believe it's 3 straight years where it's like, dude, he's got so much experience. It's just it's people don't think it's that big of a thing. I think on the offensive line, it for sure is.
Yeah, and the guy that the Lions did, I'll throw another one up, a guy that I really like going into it. They didn't meet with him. We got to ask him, and he said he didn't meet with the Lions, which, like, some of it, they could still take a player they didn't meet with. They've done it before, so I'm not saying it's completely ruled out, but Caleb Lomu out of Utah, the left tackle there, a lot of experience, and he measured really well. I mean, he's 6'6", and he's got the arm length, 33 and 3/8 inch arms. So he's got everything else checks the box. I mean, he ran a 5.40, which again, the 40s, a tackle, it's like, who really cares? But he's got quick feet. So Caleb Lomu, another guy, went into it. I'm like, okay, he probably cemented himself as a first rounder. I know before he was like a late first. He's probably going to cement himself as that. Probably be a late first round pick. Monroe Freeling probably got himself into like a top 20 pick, probably in that range because of how he tested. But yeah, the tackles, man, like the guy you mentioned, Max Ihanachor, whatever, how you pronounce his name. I'm a little more skeptical on him just because of the rawness, and maybe I'm just scarred from that, but he is an athlete, dude. Like he killed it. He measured well, ran a fine 40, he's got the wingspan. It's like 83 inches. So he's got like the measurables. I just, maybe that's a guy they feel like
the rawness is the same thing, though, to the argument. It's the same thing to Monroe Freeling.
But at least Monroe, Max, I think, started playing tackle like 3 years ago or something. So it's like, that's where I'm like, okay, maybe that's a good thing they look at. Maybe you can get it significantly better. So I don't know. But he is someone that people are going to really like too, because he crushed. He's an athlete. He's super athletic. Played soccer, played basketball. He's got his feet, you could see. So, yeah, the tackle class, I'm with you. There were some guys that came out of there. Francis Maui Noah, they're talking about Caden Proctor and him, like, playing guard. There's all these, things that come out.
I think Caden Proctor is going to end up being a good tackle. I think the fact of his size and everything, people are using that as an excuse, and he's gonna drop, or I don't want to take him because of his size. I mean, I think he goes somewhere good. He's going to be a really, really good starting tackle in the league. I find it hard to believe. And honestly, like, dude, I don't know. Like, I walked by Caden Proctor like 3 times in the hallways in Indy, and people are like, "Oh, he's fat." Didn't look like it at all. Like, he looks in good shape. I don't know.
Well. He looks...
Yeah, like it like a lot of people just bring it up, like, "Oh, he's a fat kid." Like, dude, I don't think so at all. Every time I walked by him, he almost ran into my shoulder one of the times, and I like looked. I was like, "Whoa!" It was Caden Proctor. I'm like, this guy looks like he's in shape. Like, he doesn't look like he's like overweight or anything like that, which I know he weighed in. I don't know, was it 350, maybe 53? I think was the exact number.
He was like 380. He lost weight for the season. In the season.
He looks in great, like, he looks for his size, and for people saying he looks like he was in good shape. Like, I was a little confused. What was his 40 time? I'm gonna look that up.
5.22.
What was that compared to?
It's good for his size, but people ran like 5 flat, 4.9, but he's 6'7", 350 pounds. So it's like, it's pretty good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because people say, like, I saw someone comment, "Oh, he's not that athletic." I don't know.
It's really not his straight line speed; it's his lateral speed, which people is he too big to where he can't move with like the best type of athletes with bend and that's why people are like he could play guard, and then there's other teams that probably are like, nah, he could play tackle. Like that dude could play tackle.
Yeah, I would throw him at tackle, to be honest. I think he would be good. I think he's going to end up being fine, whoever takes him. And I don't think he's going to be a guy that falls after this week. I think he's, and he met with the Lions, by the way, too. For people he met with the Detroit Lions, so he's a tackle that's on the board for the Detroit Lions. I saw a mock today where he was projected to go to the Lions. So I think that's really, really in the air, and something that could actually happen.
Yeah, there's some guards too that were pretty good. Emmanuel Pregnon, out of Oregon. Got a chance to speak to him. He spoke with the Lions, met formally with the Lions as well. That guy's a late first, early second round pick. Vega, the guard out of Penn State. Some are saying Vega. I heard a lot down there about Vega. We all did, about the hype. That dude, they look at Vega as like one of the best offensive linemen, like in the entire draft.
I think he's just like the closest thing to a lock of like a really, really good starter. That's why I think it's so intriguing, because like his floor is like very high.
He's just going to be a stud right away. Yeah. Like you talk about guards. Usually guards are guys that are like, should we take him this high? That dude will get drafted pretty high. Vega will get drafted pretty high.
Can I throw something out there too? By the way, I think coming out of the combine, talking about center, I know you like Jake Slaughter. I think a lot of people came out of the combine really high on Logan Jones.
He had a hell of a combine.
And I think there's a lot of people that have Logan Jones as their number one center now. He's like undersized. He ran the fastest. I'm pretty sure he ran the fastest 40 out of not even just centers, but out of any offensive lineman. And I think like the thing is, it's like, who was it? I think it was R. Mason Thomas that talked about like, hey, if you're a little undersized, what's going to help you? Are you athletic? Like, can you like, well, I don't remember the equation that he gave out, but he was like, what was it? Mass with velocity or was speed equals velocity or something. I don't even know what it was, but it was an incredible comment. I think it's the same thing with Logan Jones. I think Logan Jones tested extremely well. I think that was the only way he could get his draft stock to go up, was like, dude, you're a little undersized. Can you go in there and dominate? And I don't even think he's like insanely undersized when it comes to it, but he's definitely a little smaller. What was his arm length? Which is tough.
Yeah,
tough. Even for a center, that's tough.
But you see why he's so good. He makes up for it because he's just
so athletic, man.
Tough and athletic.
I think he could be the first center off the board this year. I know it's crazy because Jake Slaughter, but dude, he's allowed like
he cemented himself
5
like
sacks his whole career. It's insane.
We say it all the time. Don't look too much into these mock draft simulators. And I'll say it. Well, we do them, but like Logan Jones in the 5th, like that dude's not a fit. He's going to be a top 100 selected player. He's going to be a top 100 selected player.
His stock went very, 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 very high up this week. I think he could potentially be the number 1 center, which is crazy to think.
Yeah, it's between really him and Jake Slaughter. That's what the argument is. Who gets picked first? I mean, they met. By the way, I have the list of. Let's see. We can see right here. I'll talk about some guys that the Lions met with. They met with a guy 6'9" out of Memphis, Travis Burke. We got to talk to him. He is a big man tackle. I think they might be looking at some swing tackles maybe too. Like don't discount maybe taking a guy that can play that Dan Skipper role, because
you met with some right guards.
Yeah, they met with they did meet with Pat Coogan, another center, informal out of Indiana. They met with Enrique Cruz out of Kansas, Jalen Farmer out of Kentucky. They met with another guard. They did their homework on some guards. That was formal, by the way, with Jalen Farmer. We talked about Max, Arizona State. That was formal. By the way, pay attention to those formals, okay? Emmanuel Pregnon out of Oregon, formal. Caden Proctor, you said formal. And then Jake Slaughter they met with informally. They did not meet with Logan Jones. Asked him, and he said that he did not meet with the Lions. But again, I don't. Some of it you take in, some of it you don't. Could they still select them? Yes, if they, I don't try to look too much into all that. But they did talk to Jake Slaughter. By the way, offensive lineman. While we're on, you talk about Logan Jones, Jake Slaughter. I came into it liking him. I left the combine loving him. Love Jake Slaughter. I mean, I've spoken a lot about him, but he just, man, the guy, you could just tell he's like Frank Ragnow 2.0, just with the way he acts. I mean, he fishes. Guy loves fishing. Guy loves ball. And he sounds like he's a 35-year-old man. Like the way he talks. I know people are like, the guy sounds like he shouldn't even be in the draft. Like, he's younger than me and you. He's 22 years old, 21 years old. The guy's 6'5", like luscious hair, just a massive human being. And the guy just speaks well. You can tell he's super intelligent. A center he watches, Frank Ragnow. Like, come on. Frank Ragnow is a guy he loves watching. And then what else did he say? Met with the Lions informally. I think they're doing some due diligence. Caleb Banks, a projected first-round defensive tackle, talked about someone that gave him a lot of issues. Jake Slaughter. He said that guy's a dog. Went up against him all the time. And, yeah, man, he crushed it. He didn't, run the fastest 40, but he did some things really well. And I think he's going to be a guy, like you talk about Logan Jones, one of those guys, man. They're going to be top 100 picks. And, man, I just think he's so smart. And he just fits, like, the perfect Lion mold. Like, football guy, intelligent. I think Jared prefers his centers to be, like, high intellect, a guy you can just, like, rely on. Yeah, Jake Slaughter. Go watch some of that tape of Jake Slaughter. You guys will fall in love with him. So,
I would rather have Pat Coogan or Logan Jones. I'm sorry, Jeff.
It's okay. It's all good. But he's.
I don't think it's like that big of an eye-popping difference from those two.
Yeah, he just physically. I think he just all the intangibles. And honestly,
Pat Coogan's won a lot of football games, man.
That is true. But he's also Jake Slaughter is also playing at Florida. So like. I mean, what is that going to do?
I want a winner.
He can't.
I want a winner in my locker room.
One of them was in the SEC though. He did go up against some SEC interior defensive linemen. So now the SEC doesn't have
Big Ten's won the most national championships the last 3 years. I keep hearing this, like, going up against the SEC. Like, that means nothing these days. I don't know why people keep saying that.
Well, we said it about Will Campbell last year.
Yeah, not me.
You were like, he didn't go up against.
I don't think. And now what happened with Will Campbell? Everyone's saying that he's bad this year, and but he was going up against the SEC guy. Like, it doesn't matter. I just don't think it matters in the NIL and the transfer portal. Like, I think there's dudes everywhere. There's dudes all around. They're like look at the Big 12. All the Texas Tech kids coming out. Like, those are the top guys in the draft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Listen, I'm not going up to you. I'm just saying. I'm
not going to debate you on it, but
all week I keep hearing it, and people are like, Nick, South Talent's greater than North Talent. South Talent's coming to play for the Big 10 and the Big 12 now. That's my point. It has nothing to do with the South Talent. It's look who's winning football games now. Like, it's even all of a sudden. When was the last time the SEC won a national championship? When was the last? Other step further. When was the last time the SEC was in a national championship game? Can anyone tell me that? The last time an SEC school played for the national championship. Oh, I'll give it to you. It was 3 years ago, Georgia. Where's the best football? It's all around the country now. It's not only in the SEC anymore.
Yeah. I'm not. Listen, I
was going to go on that rant for like a week.
Yeah, no, it's fair. But like I said, Jake Slaughter's still a good player. He's still a really good player. So he killed it, man. He really did. So
you know what's crazy, Jeff? I'm going on this rant again. Yeah. I'm looking at ESPN, right? The best available players. There is not an SEC player listed until 12th overall. And take a guess who it is. It's a player that Lions fans and people in this chat all will say is not that great of a player. It's Auburn's edge, Keldrick Falk. And then I keep going. Where's SEC? Oh, and then 18. So 12 and 18, Mansour Delane. And then Jermod McCoy. In the top 20, the SEC has 2 players in the top 20. They have 4 in the top 30.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. It's no longer like this guy plays in the SEC. All right, that was my Booners rant for the day.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, Jake Slaughter still a good. That's basically the point I was making. He's a good player. Went into it liking him, left it just impressed. He feels like a lion. So I guess we can go. We can stay on defense. We can stay on offense and go to the tight ends because there's some guys that I think tight end wise. I'll mention the guy that I went into.
I'll just let you take it. Yeah, you just take this away, man.
Yeah, Sam Roush out of Stanford had a hell of a day working out. I think he had the fastest 3-cone drill by like a pretty good margin. So athletically checked all the boxes, but also got to speak to him. And honestly, guy sounds like a lion too. Now he's probably going to be like a second. This is what sucks about this, and I'm sure we've already mentioned this before, but the Lions only having basically a second round pick. There's so many guys that we like that are going to be like second, third round picks, and the Lions only have one pick in that area. So as much as we like all these players, they're really only going to have one swing at it. Like we talk about center, tackle, edge. They're only going to be able to get 2 of those in the first 2 rounds if you go that way. They're going to miss out.
Make a move, dude.
They're going to miss out on like if they let's say they take a tackle and an edge, you're not going to get Logan Jones or Jake Slaughter. You know, maybe Pat Coogan or someone. Maybe that'd be a nice like you still get a center, but man, all these dudes in this like top 100 range, it's just like they're going to miss out. But yeah, Sam Roush did a really good job. I think he was asked who he met with. He just not a lot. Some guys didn't even share who they met with, which is fine, whatever. But I think he met with the Lions informally. Had a great workout. Talked about his physicality, which I love. When guys talk about physicality and you know run blocking and how they emphasize it, I just think lion. So Sam Roush out of Stanford, I really liked, and then Eli out of Purdue, that was or Vanderbilt, excuse me. Diego's biggest target. I think he won the best tight end in the nation. I think the award he won this past year. So he's another guy going to be probably selected. You know, I don't know, second round, Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt. So he ran a 4.5. I mean, another great tight end option. There's some other Marlon Klein out of Michigan. For the Michigan men out there, he looked really good working out. You could tell he's got some athleticism that, you know, he didn't really get tapped into at Michigan, but maybe in the pros, like AJ Barner turns into a really good tight end. Dolan Bentley out of Utah. He was another one that looked really good out there. Like this tight end class had some guys that you're watching. You're like, oh, wow, if they want to take one of these tight ends. They met with RJ Maryland out of SMU. They didn't meet with him informally. He ran a really fast 40 for a tight end. So he looked really good. And then finally, the tight end that you talked about, Tanner Koziel. He ran a 4.7 40, but it's good. I mean, he's big. He's 6'7". He's kind of built. He is a tall man. He's a tall guy for a tight end. He maybe doesn't have the most physical stature, but a receiving threat. He really is. So he looked good as well. So wanted to mention the tight end class, and the Lions need a tight end. And, you know, getting to see these guys work out, I'm like, man, they're going to walk away. I don't know when, probably later rounds, because they don't have a lot of picks early, but they'll get one of these guys to be a tight end 3 for sure.
Yeah, I'm wonder if I think they're going to draft. I would think they draft a tight end. I'm interested to see where the Lions go with it. Like, are they going to use their second round pick on a tight end, or are they going to wait till the 4th round and do it? I think there's some value in that. Like, your guy down there with Sam Roush. I thought he had a heck of a week. I think his stock went up a lot. Eli Stowers is going to only be I think he's gone he's not going to be around in the 3rd round. He's probably our 2nd round guy. A couple other names like Joe Royer, he might be a guy in the 3rd, 4th round. But some of these tight ends, once you get to that kind of 3rd, 4th round, you're going to start losing some. So if they really like a guy, maybe you see him make a move for one. But you don't want to try. It's one of those things. It's like you don't want to give up assets when you have Sam Laporta, but you do also have to kind of take into an account this could be the last season that you have Sam Laporta on contract, right? Unless you franchise tag him. So it is an interesting class. I think it's a class that you can find a guy that could be a really good tight end if he works out and he's in the right position. But like Sam Roush, I thought that's a good one that they met with. You did confirm they met with him, correct?
What player?
Sam Roush.
They informally.
Informal. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I do like the tight end class. So I thought that was a good class.
I'll throw out there. We'll go to the defensive side because really there's not. I mean, running backs. I guess we can go running backs actually. Just to mention one player I want to mention, and we like him. I think we both like the same player, and I think the Lions should definitely. We talked about him at the beginning of the show. Nick Singleton. He's injured right now, dealing with I think he's dealing with something with his foot. So he was on one of those like scooters. But I actually have a video we posted all over. You guys can check out our combine content, all the one-on-one kind of when we asked them questions, whether they met with the Lions or not. Nick Singleton met with the Lions. He met with the Lions formally, and like I said earlier, they went through ball security drills. They talked to him, drilled him with different questions, pass protection, and he shared a backfield at Penn State.
I'm gonna wait to talk about Nick Singleton. I got him later in the show.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, I wanted to mention Nick Singleton. He crushed it, and there's some other running backs that I know Klotz was putting out some, but yeah. All right,
good running back class too. Some depth.
Yeah, I mean they got a lot of options at running back there late in the draft. We can go to defense. We'll talk about the trenches, defensive linemen, and just in general. We can mention Akeem Mesidor. Akeem Mesidor, guy lit up when asked about Dan Campbell. Like, check that box. He's seems like a good culture guy, great dude, and he's someone that has the production. Okay, I've warmed up. I know I'm usually the guy in like past years where it's like age, but I think where the Lions are right now, age isn't really even a concern because they just need guys that can come in and produce. I know people are going to mention the age. If I can get a 25-year-old that can step in and just be a mature guy that can just produce. You're not in if you were in like a rebuild, you need younger players that you want to grow with. Where you're at right now, you need guys that can step in and play. And if Mesidor is 25 years old, but he's a great player, I'll take him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll take the guy. So Mesidor definitely impressed a lot of people, and I think he's in play at that 17th overall pick for sure.
Yeah, I think to your point, like if you want a guy that can step in and play right away, I think like obviously you have guys that needed a little bit of development, younger guys. Keldrick Falk kind of falls under that kind of thing as well. Like, hey, need to develop a little bit. Guys with shorter arms, the Cassius Howells, like things like that. But I think like if you're like, hey, we need an edge rusher in the first round that's going to come in and make an impact, take everything away when it comes to age and all that. Akeem Mesidor can. I think another one like that, and I think Jeff, you kind of felt the same way. TJ Parker. Who had a down year at Clemson, but he's a guy that can come in right away. He has the talent. Like he had a down year, but everyone at Clemson had a down year. Look at Kate Klubnik, Peter Woods. Like everyone at Clemson had a down year, but they're so talented. And TJ Parker, dude, he had the production at one point. It's about, I think, in my opinion, getting a guy like TJ Parker in a position in a team that he can kind of just blossom because he's ready to. He's not a guy that you're going to have to wait for it. He's ready to go out there and play right away. So I would say, like, if you're talking about, like, hey, an edge rusher at 17, like, who I think those are the two names, Mesidor and TJ Parker. I wasn't even, Jeff, I wasn't even like a guy that was like, I remember I was always saying Mesidor, like, you could trade back and still get him. Maybe still true. If they went Mesidor at 17, like, I wouldn't be mad. Like, I wouldn't, because he can come in and produce for you instantly, like right away.
Yeah, he's got some injury concerns. I know people bring that up, but like 12 and a half sacks and 4 forced fumbles this year at Miami, dude.
Yep.
Like, I'll take any. I mean, he's playing with Bain, who's getting his. He's got to get his too. I know you people be like, well, he's getting he's getting more one-on-ones. I don't care. You're going to get one-on-ones with Hutch, and the guy had 12 and a half sacks. Like, yeah, I'll take Key Mesidor. He's 6'3", 280. I think he fits really well with the Lions there. So. We mentioned Falk already. I know Falk had a hell of a day just with the interview process and measurables and all of that. We can mention another guy that I had in one of my mock drafts that I think is rising because of how he tested, Malachi Lawrence, edge out of UCF.
UCF, dude, every time I see a Risers article that like this week, he's like number one on every one. Everyone's like this kid showed out.
I love that because I was worried. I looked at him more as like, okay, if you can't get an edge in the first, this would be a good like rounds 2 to 3, more so 3 option. But yeah, the way he tested, man, he might be like a second round pick. I mean, He's got 33-inch arms, almost 34-inch arms, and he ran a fast 40. He's athletic, and
He ran like a 4.5, dude.
Had the
Like
production.
low 4.5.
Had the production, man. So Malachi Lawrence for sure had a pretty big one. And hey, one more guy I want to bring up, Danny Dennis Sutton. That's one of my favorite edges in the class. Tested really well, athletically, obviously, but just a massive dude. So yeah, shout out Danny Dennis Sutton. I'm sure you're going to see him in a lot of my mock drafts. I'm excited about him, man.
I keep seeing people talk about him too, man.
He's going to be
there's actually a lot of like second round edges that came out of this combine. And again, I don't think it's just the testing does it, but I think once people test good, people start watching the film, people start looking at this guy a little bit more, looking at the production, like especially these second round edges. Wait a second. What do we miss out of this guy? Like he tested extremely, like these guys tested really well. And they have the production and they have the film. Why was he a third, fourth round option? And I think like NFL teams are even the same way, or maybe just in the media, they're like that, but NFL teams have had these guys on their radars anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is true. All right, we'll move on. Before we do, can I just mention two linebackers? Linebackers, by the way, keep an eye on the linebacker position. There's some good linebackers in this class. Kyle Lewis, who we mentioned a lot on the show, great player. He tested really well. Anthony Hill killed it as well. So those guys might have snuck them away. They definitely had their stock rise. So linebacker for sure. I've already talked about it. I've opened the idea of drafting an earlier linebacker. I know it doesn't sound great. Maybe you have to require more capital, but there's just some good linebackers at the top of the class. So definitely pay attention to that group as well. All right, we have our post NFL Combine mocks, which we're doing today. We've done 3 pre-combine, and now we have our first post-combine mock draft, which I'm fired up about, because now we have not only more context when it comes to players, but testing numbers, and maybe even I did mine. To be fair, I did mine before the Montgomery trade, so I don't have the 4th round pick. I don't know I think you're in the same boat.
I didn't have the 4th. I traded just to kind of try and simulate a little bit. At the time I didn't know what pick they were getting. So I added a 4th, but I also did make a trade for a 3rd to add a 3rd. So I kind of did it in the same trade, which is unrealistic, but I think somehow they add a 3rd. So I just made sure I added a 3rd with it. It was more so I want to see it, put out the players and where I think they should do.
You could take it away first. I think I went first last week. You can take it away first. This is our first post NFL Combine mock draft. So Booner, talk to me here. What the hell happened here? All right, these are some studs on here. Okay, there's
dude. I got lucky. I traded to make sure I got. I added a fourth, but I also like I said before, I believe the Lions get a 3rd round pick, whether they trade future assets from last year, whatever they do. I think you look at this class and you go, hey, there's a lot of starters in the top 100. Maybe not a lot of all pros, but there is a lot of starters. And what do the Lions need right now, Jeff? They need starters, man. They need starters on the offensive line. They need starters at corner. They need an edge starter. They need safeties. They need everything they can get. And they do have a lot of players, but you need to get new guys in there to start. And you just kind of started seeing the turnover today when it came to David Montgomery, Graham Glasgow, and there's going to be more turnover. So that was kind of how I went into this, where I was like, all right, they're going to be aggressive. I think this is like 2023 where Brad's aggressive. He wants to add a 3rd. He wants to, obviously today he just added a 4th round pick, a top 130 pick he added today. So I think that's going to happen. And I think you can get some of these guys. And as much as Jeff, I was thinking about it today, as much as we all think a lot of these guys aren't going to be there, we're like, oh no, like Jacob Rodriguez is a top 50 pick. Not always, right? Look at 2023. Brian Branch was a solidified 1st rounder. Solidified. Everyone talked about it heading into the draft. There's no way. If I would have drafted Brian Branch 30 something overall or 40th, whatever he ended up going, there's no way that anyone would have been they would have been like, you're crazy, Booner. But guess what happened? He falls to the 2nd round. You get him day 2. Same thing Sam Laporta, the way they got him. That. It is what it is. So I took at 17, somehow Spencer Fano just fell to me. And I know people are like, well, he's going to be a top 10 pick. If he falls to the Lions, man, if there's a chance, and I saw some mock drafts post-combine that had him falling a little bit, Jeff.
I think his arm length, people are like saying,
yes.
They're saying it's going to affect him.
And listen, the players that got drafted before him in the mocks that I saw, Jeff, wasn't crazy. Like it wasn't like, oh, like I would take. No, it wasn't that crazy, the players that were getting picked. So if he somehow falls to the Lions, and listen, this is the argument. Shout out to Heavies. I was watching them today, and I was in their chat going back and forth with Spenny. Like, I understand, and Jeff, you know this, for the last 3 weeks, I've been one of the biggest Monroe Freeling guys. I've talked about how high his ceiling is. I think his ceiling could be an all-pro tackle in this league. He has all the measurables. He's athletic. He has everything to go with it. The issue is again, can he start right away? And what can he do for you year one? And I know the argument is, well, Booner, like, what about when Taylor leaves? You need someone next. Taylor Decker's here in 2026, guys. Like, as of now, he's here. Spencer Fano can play all 5 positions. The floor on him playing, whether it's left tackle, left guard, right guard, center, the floor on that is high. Like, he's going to be good at every single one of those positions. Now it's more so, which position can he be great at? And you don't have to figure that out right away for Spencer Fano. But if you draft Spencer Fano at 17 overall, you know what you do right away? You upgrade your interior no matter what. And then you could kind of see, okay, when Taylor leaves, can he play left tackle? Maybe he goes to right tackle where he's played his whole career, right? Like, and you move Penei. So I think that's the most intriguing part about Spencer Fano is, like, he's going to be a solidified starter in this league. Why not draft a solidified starter over a guy who Monroe Freeling has such a high ceiling? And if Spencer Fano's not there, listen, I'm going to be the first one to say, give me Monroe Freeling, Jeff, like right away. I'll take him. I'll do it. But if Fano's there, dude, you do it because you know he's going to start for you year one, and it's an upgrade to your offensive line, and not a small one, a significant one. Extremely athletic, yes, shorter arms, but I think with his athleticism, what he can do. I mean, he ran the second fastest 40. Out of all offensive linemen, and you saw the workout drills that he was doing, Jeff. Like, he looks very smooth out there. So I would go Spencer Fano if he's there. 50, R. Mason Thomas. I'll give credit to Klotz. Klotz kind of, like, we've heard of this guy. Klotz kind of put him on a little bit more to me. The only negative about him, like, remember I talked about earlier in the show, he was the one that was asked about his short arm length, a little undersized. He's 6'2", 240. And his arm's only like 31, just under 32 inches. So it's not that good for an edge rusher. But if you watch him, I watched him today, Jeff. Dude, this guy might be one of the angriest players in the entire draft. Like, if you want just an absolute dog, like, this is a pause moment, but he swallowed up quarterbacks this season at Oklahoma. Like, swallowed them up. And I'm talking about, like, they were going up against, I'm not going to say SEC, but there were some significant teams they went up against, and he just dominated these tackles. And yes, his size is smaller, but he gets off the ball so fast. You want to throw him on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson. He can stop the run. Like, he's not a guy where you get no, with his size. Like, he's very what's a good word? Like, not shifty, but like I
don't know if bad. He's just got good, like, at 6'2", he moves really well. For
he's
that
smart,
size.
yeah, and he's very like snaky smart when it comes to the run. Like, he's not going to get destroyed in the run game if you need him to play it. But I think, like, if you're looking at, like, I think they end up bringing in a free agent edge here, whether it's AQM or another free agent. But I think getting another elite guy like R. Mason Thomas, who can get to the quarterback, man, and again, he could come in and play right away, like R. Mason Thomas can. He can,
yes.
And I think that would be a perfect pick at 50. 72, I don't even need to, like, really break this guy down a lot. I think everyone knows who Jacob Rodriguez is, what he's about. You know you're about to lose Alex Anzalone. And the biggest thing with that is you have to somehow, whether you sign a guy or bring a guy in as a rookie, you have to get a replacement for Anzo if you don't bring him back. And Jacob Rodriguez, I didn't think his stock could go that much high. After the combine, he's moved up, Jeff. And I think it's known that he can be an elite linebacker at the next level. He ran a 4.57 this week. Elite in the run game, elite in coverage. And at that as well, the man can take the ball. Like, he's like one of the best linebackers at taking the ball away in all of college football. Yeah, like, his instincts are top tier. And he does everything at an elite level. Like, yeah, you could be like, oh, maybe this a little. It's all elite, man. And the only knock on him, man, I think it's just his size. He's a little undersized. But when you like talk about everything else he does, it's like, dude, at this size, he did all this at an elite level. Getting him at a top 75 pick that's a steal in my opinion.
Honestly, Boone, if he was 6'3", he would probably be like a top 30 pick. Like
he would be in the Anthony Hill, that conversation. Like he'd be up
bigger,
there
for sure. They'd be talking about. Yeah.
110. This is the one that I started changing a little bit. I was taking a running back like 180, 187, 155 a little bit later in the draft. As soon as the D-Mont news came out, I'm like, hey, they're going to the top 4 rounds running back. I don't know when they'll do it or what. And it's intriguing to me. You mentioned a little bit earlier that you actually asked the question to Nick Singleton, hey, did you meet with the Lions? Right away, he's like, I had a formal with them. And you didn't even have to ask formal. He was like, I had a formal with them. It went really well. And they kind of broke down everything he went into and what they worked on. I think this is a guy, Jeff. I know Jeremiah Love. I think he could end up being RB2 in this draft class. So you look back 2 or 3 years and you're like, this is the second best running back out of this draft class. Like the talent that he has. What he did at Penn State, dude, I didn't realize this until this morning. He had like 4,500 total yards, 100 receptions plus, and I think, let me see if I have it, if I wrote this down, 54 plus touchdowns at his time at Penn State.
And look at that. You see that yards per carry too is like before this year, he had a little bit of a down year, I think.
I think total in the year I had here of over 5 yards per carry in his career.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Like, and if you're talking about pairing Jahmyr Gibbs up with the guy on a cheap deal, a rookie contract, him and Nick Singleton, I saw a tweet today. People were like, well, now the Bears have the best running back duo in the NFL or in the NFC North. You draft Nick Singleton, it's the Lions again, like right away. It's this guy's arguably him or the second Notre Dame kid, your guy, as a Price.
Price, yeah.
You could argue Nick Singleton's RB2 in this class.
I would agree. Yeah, I think Price needs a little more. Like I think he fumbled. He has like some other things. Wasn't super fast. Singleton can fly, dude. If he tested, I know he's injured. He'd probably run like a 4.4.
His draft stock. You would never get him at 110 if he tested. Maybe there's a chance at 110 he falls and you get him in that pick. But if he's available at 110 or that new pick you have 128, all in. Like you do it and you're like, all right, we don't even need to get a free agent. Like we're good with Nick Singleton. Like you run with that.
Yeah. 3 down back too. He can catch the ball like you said. 3 down back.
Rich asked Booner, are you talking about Singleton because you said Love? No, I said Jeremiah Love. I said Jeremiah Love outside of Jeremiah Love. Nick Singleton looking back could be the best outside of Jeremiah Love in this draft class. That's what I meant to say. Sorry if I mixed up those words. 118, Jeff, Sam Roush was there. Again, this is kind of the argument with Nick Singleton. Outside of Kenyon Sadiq and Eli Stowers, you can make a really good argument Sam Roush is RB or tight end 3 in this class. And however you want to look at it, there are a lot of other, there's Royer, there's the kid out of Utah. There's a lot of different tight ends. But when you look at production, I think he had in the last 2 years, 800 or 900 yards combined, over 10 touchdowns. The way he tested, and we saw him in person, he's a big dude too.
Oh, big dude.
Like I think he has the production in the receiving game. I wouldn't question his blocking either. Like, I think he's going to be able to go. And the most interesting part to me was the very first question he got asked at the podium was, hey, who do you model your game after? Like, what tight ends do you want to be like? The very first tight end that he brought up was Detroit Lions tight end Sam Laporta. And he brought up his receiving game. He brought up how good of a blocker he is, how hard he plays, and everything about his game. And it was like, if you want to get a guy, potentially a future replacement for Sam Laporta, maybe the guy that is literally like, I want to be Sam Laporta. That could be a good, or even a guy that if Sam goes down, you have a backup that's like similar style, similar build, all of that. And you don't have to change up much in that tight end scheme. Like you would have to with like a Zane Zylstra. You'd have to, hey, we can't do this.
Yeah, he would be a good tight end 3 for sure right away. Maybe tight end 2 over Brock at some point, but yeah, really good.
155. Jeff, didn't we talk about Jalen Kilgore this week with Klotz?
We did, we did, because a lot of people liked him before
good,
and he's a good player.
Yeah, he had a really good combine as well. The thing with him that I think is just the most interesting, I just think he's going to be able to move around a lot. I think that was the conversation this last week with him. He tested really well. He ran a 4.4. He's 6'1", which we're talking about like corner, nickel. Like you want a taller guy. The thing is I think in the NFL, from what I've been reading, and it seems like he might play a lot more nickel than corner or outside corner, which I think is it's fine for the Lions, because we just keep talking about how they need to play more nickel. Like you need to get in that package a little bit more. Maybe Jalen Kilgore with Brian Branch down gives you an opportunity to get into that package a little bit more. He had 8 turnovers in his career, 8 interceptions in his career at South Carolina. Dude, he can tackle, he hits hard, downhill, everything you need in the box. He can do that. And if you needed to, maybe he can go outside and play for you. That it's not like, his bread and butter, but if you're getting him at 155, a guy who could play in the box with some upside. And it's kind of a similar thing with Bishop Fitzgerald too. I don't want to say I got similar players, but I think Bishop Fitzgerald, he's just one of those guys. I thought about this today. At safety, like in this class, Jeff, you talk about like the best guys at taking the ball away. My number one safety when it comes to that, like a Kirby type, is Bud Clark out of TCU. I would have to say like number 2 is like a Bishop Fitzgerald, where it's like he could just take he's a ball hawk. He was like that at USC. I think he played JUCO before, same thing. And then at 187, Logan Jones. I already talked about Logan Jones on the show. I think after the combine, there's an argument he's the number 1 center in this class. And if you can get him at 187, I don't think you can. He was available for me. I just don't think the algorithm has updated itself yet at PFF. But I just wanted to put it on there as a piece of just saying, hey, take a look at Logan Jones. By the way, I think it's Michael Taft, correct, out of Texas, the safety. Yeah. I thought, dude, we were at his podium. I thought he spoke very well. When he was on the combine, like, he didn't like stand out to me.
Yeah, no, he didn't have like this crazy workout. I mean, I think he's,
and I know he could play football, like on the field he could play. But.
Yeah, but to your point though, like it's not like walking away or like that guy blew everyone away workout wise.
Yeah,
not like the guy out of Oregon.
The Oregon kid, I think everyone there was like, look, dude, I would walk to the concourse to go get something, and I heard people talking about the kid out of Oregon, and I was like, I think it's like Dylan Thyman or something. I think he's going to be the difference though between him and Taft is he's going to be a first-round pick.
Yeah, because you want recovery speed. I mean, the Dylan ran a 4.3 something.
Yeah, I can check here real quick.
He ran something crazy. He ran like a 4.37 or something like that. And I think he was at Purdue. Yeah, he was at Purdue before as a freshman, had 6 interceptions. So like he's got they look at the speed and they're like, okay, this guy athletically checks 6 foot 205. He'll be a good player for sure. For sure. You actually have one more pick that I have on another slide.
Oh, did I? I didn't even.
You do. You have one more draft pick. He's on an island, but he's your guy by himself. Zane Durant.
I forgot about Zane Durant. I had him in my notes here too. All right, listen, Zane Durant. Jeff, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'll tell you what. He didn't have that much production at Penn State. He had like 4 sacks, I think, and he's he's kind of undersized for an interior defensive lineman. But I had to throw him in there because he was just one of those guys at the combine. Like, you know who actually did this to us last year, or for me, Ahmed Hassanin. Where like at the combine, you're sitting there, you're like, dude, this guy is just a worker. Like you could just tell on the field, you're like, this guy just loves the game. That and I kept every time Zane Durant did a drill, I wasn't familiar with him that much before the combine and during the combine. You were sitting right next to me, Jeff. But I kept looking at there, he's up again. Like I was like locking on him, and every time, dude, he would wow you. And I know it's the underwear Olympics, so that's why I have him at 204. And I was like, I'll just throw him on there just to get his name out there. But, dude, this guy, there's just something about Zane Durant, Jeff. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Just a grinder, dude. I mean, he's had a couple sacks every year at Penn State. He's just like maybe I think he's like.
You respect an undersized defensive tackle, too. You know what I mean? Like.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
respect it. He looked smaller. He's 6'1", 290. What's like a normal D tackle, man? I feel like D tackles are a little bit like, dude, Peter Woods is 6'3", 315. Like, he's 2 or 3 inches smaller than Peter Woods and 25 pounds smaller.
Aleem is he's 6'2", 310. So he's like,
dude, he's but like, let me find if I can see Zane Durant on here. Dude, he's 290. 290.
Yeah, he's a 3-tech.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like Caleb Banks 6'6", 330. We're talking like, I know it's a different D tackle, but dude, it's just so like, I loved out there. A lot of people don't like the Zane Durant pick. I don't care, to be honest. He's just like he's like a journeyman for me. Like, I'm gonna follow him this whole career.
204 or something. It's like,
yeah.
At that point, you're just taking guys flyers, basically.
I did pick a lot of undersized guys. Well, really on the D line, I took our Mason Thomas, who's a little smaller. But again, hey, listen, this is what I want people to know when it comes to the edge room. Don't get stuck on we need a bigger edge or we need the arm length. I think people need to realize with that edge room, Jeff, they can sign a free agent edge. So if you want an edge somewhere in the first, second round, draft edge based off BPA. I don't sit there and worry about that. You can get a bigger. You have Levi O. Like, if you want to just a technical just pass rusher, man, go get that guy.
Yeah. I don't mind it at all. On my pick, I didn't have as many picks because I traded. I made 2 trades. In the first round, I traded back, and then in the 4th round, I traded up. So I have less picks, but they're all quality picks. These are the selections I went with here, and I love this. I think this might be one of my favorite classes so far. Less picks, like I said, but I think you hit on some really good players. So I traded from 17 to 25. I picked up 57 in that trade. Okay, so I picked up 57. I gave away a 188 or something like that in return. I don't know how the trade would actually work, but these are the players I went with. So at 25, I took Monroe Freeling. He's probably going to be a top 15 pick. I'm just making it very clear. Probably top 20, top 15, whatever. Probably going to have to stay put at 17 and take him. But in this version, let's just play. We're in imagination land. He goes 25 to the Lions. So they get their starting left tackle, or at least a guy that could start next year for them at left tackle after Taylor Decker leaves. And I mean, we talked about Monroe Freeling, that he's got the longest arm length in the entire draft out of all the tackles in the entire draft. And he's just an athlete. So he's got all the things you look for to tackle. So Monroe Freeling at 25, at 50, I took my guy, Danny Dennis Sutton. I know Klotz me and Klotz had conversations at the combine making jokes about, because I have this theory. I haven't said it on the show yet, but I have a non-serious take about names in the NFL. Tell me if I'm wrong on this, chat. Whenever you look at great players, there's always cool names. All right. And I know it's a non-serious take, but names matter. Okay. Names matter. And Danny Dennis Sutton, Klotz said, does not check the box, but he
doesn't check the name box.
I guess he doesn't. Danny Dennis Sutton doesn't check the name box. It's like, you got Ja'Marr Chase, or you got Myles Garrett, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, all these cool names, like Deacon Jones. You got Deacon. You got all these different names. Warren Sapp. So that's my take on names. Danny Dennis Sutton might not check the name box, but he checks every single other box. Production at Penn State the last 2 years, 8.5 sacks, and he's an incredible athlete at his size, 6'5", 6'6", 250 pounds. Probably got to gain a little bit of weight. Can defend the run. Can rush the passer. He has 2 interceptions in his career. Okay. Imagine him and Hutch at both edge spots. You're getting picked off by one of those guys at some point. So Danny Dennis Sutton's an intriguing prospect. I've been a fan of his through this process, and he's at 50. At 57, I made sure to get my guy Jake Slaughter at 57. You got 2 offensive linemen in your top 3 picks. And like I already talked about Jake Slaughter, but someone I believe could contribute pretty quickly. But if not, you have a guy that's in the wings that's going to be a starting center for, I think, a decade or so. So more than that. Hopefully not the Frank Ragnow route. Hopefully he starts for you past 30 years old. But Jake Slaughter at 57. 105, I took Bud Clark. You mentioned the Kirby comparison. Like, that's spot on. He's the best. When you look at ball hawks in the draft, he's the ball hawk. 15 interceptions in 4 years. I mean, the guy has a bunch of takeaways. I think he's been at TCU for like 5 or 6 years, but he's just productive every year. I don't know why. I don't know what happened or what. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, and he just roams around the field and makes a ton of plays. So if you're looking for a guy who can force turnovers, which they do need, Bud Clark would be a great option for the Lions at 105. Probably a little earlier, he'll probably go. But if he's there at 105, you don't even – I mean, that's where I traded up. I was at 118. I traded up to 105 to take Bud Clark. 155, I took a tight end, Dalton Bentley out of Utah. Kind of a late bloomer in a sense with production. He had 600 yards this year at Utah. But I think the Lions might look at that as a good thing, actually. I think they might look at it as, oh, he's hitting his strides now, and we're going to draft him. He's going to become a really good player. He's got great tape, like Mr. Jingles said in there. You go watch him. He's a receiving threat, but also a capable
Shout out
blocker.
Mr. Jiggles.
Also a capable blocker, which I really like too. He's a willing blocker at his size, which as at tight end 3, you're going to have to block, dude. And they got nothing out of that receiving room, the tight end room in receiving after Sam Laporta went down, and Dalton Bentley brings that. And then at 180, linebacker we've taken a lot. He's just like he just does a lot of things well. You know, he's not like he's got the size, obviously, at like 6'2" or whatever, 6'3", but he doesn't have any elite traits, but he's just a solid all-around linebacker that can play special teams. And I said this when I talked about this mock draft prior, like, and I think you would agree with this. Looking at the Lions draft the last couple of years, they've spoken about it. You have last year, they drafted Dan Jackson, Dominic Lovett. Those guys are special teamers. They want special teamers late in the draft. Bryce can play special teams. Andre Fuller can play special teams. Dalton Bentley can play special teams. Like Bud Clark can play. Like these guys can all play special teams drafted late in the draft. So that's also a bonus. Andre Fuller, I found out more about him. Shout out to Klotz, Toledo. Very good. Very good at Toledo. I don't know who's coaching these secondary guys at Toledo. I don't know who it is, but we need to start looking into who the hell it is. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Quinion Mitchell, Andre Fuller is going to be the next. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. And he's going to be he's the standout out of Toledo. He's the next guy. Shout out to the MAC. 11 pass breakups. Guy was a stud. He's got great length at corner, which honestly length, like when we talk about arm length, we've had this discussion over this last week. Tackles, edges, corners. You look at arm length. And he had 11 pass breakups. He's got long arms, and he's a guy that I think, man, like he can fly too. I think he was clocked at the East-West Shrine Bowl. It says at 20.5 miles per hour. So I think he could definitely be a sleeper. Press coverage guy. Again, Lions like those guys, press man guys, and he can do that. So less picks for me, but I think quality picks. You know, people might say, well, yeah, I want more picks. Listen, I just tried to get the best players I could here. So whether I traded back and picked up another pick or I traded up to get a guy I really liked, I think at 105, I was kind of standing between Sam Roush or Bud Clark, and I decided to go with Bud Clark because he has a higher ceiling. You know, I tried to go with the best player available, which I think the Lions should factor in along with need. But I think these guys were all the best players at the spots that I was selecting. Regardless of ranking, I just thought at 57, I'm going to go Jake Slaughter, 105, Bud Clark, so on and so forth. So this is my draft. This is 4.0 post combine. And just to give people a little hint, Danny Des Sutton has spoken to the Lions. Jake Slaughter has informally met with the Lions. Bud Clark has met with the Lions. I'm not sure if Bentley has met with the Lions. That I'm not sure. But Monroe Freeling, I don't know if I don't think he met with the Lions. And then Bryce and Andre, I think Andre, they might have spoken with him at the Senior Bowl. So also some guys at the Lions have also spoken to. No quarterbacks, by the way, in either of our drafts. We've taken one every single week, but no QBs in this one. Even though there are some quarterbacks that definitely had pretty good days. Some guys that might play other positions, like Haynes King. I think they're saying he could play like they might move him to receiver or something, or tight end or whatever it is. But no quarterback in this draft. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't go quarterback as well.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, it is what it is. It's you guys know how I feel about the quarterback class. There's going to be some guys that come out that might be good players, but Taylor Green had a great workout. I don't know. Todd McShay has said he was kind of starting to really I don't want to say fall in love, but he's starting to buy in a little bit to Taylor Green. And it's like they're, measurables, speed, character. He checks all those.
I do believe that there are a lot of quarterbacks in this class that have the potential to be good. It's just such a up in the air, depends on who you like. I thought some of the guys threw really well. Like, it's crazy to even say because he's so small, but like Diego Pavia, that was a guy that stood out which is, again, it's crazy to say, but dude, he could throw the rock.
He might be a candidate though.
Yeah, but you don't care. Like, dude, there are a lot of guys that are like that who get drafted and are really good. Like, it's football. Like, I always hate when people say, "Oh, the biggest douche award." Like, it's football. Like, do you know how many guys are like that in football and end up being really good? Like,
I just don't want my quarterback to do that. That's just.
But like, dude, like Todd McShay said it perfectly when we were listening to it on the ride back from Indy. Most really high level quarterbacks and star quarterbacks are not great dudes. Like maybe like they look like it.
Not publicly,
yeah. But like but most of them aren't. And it's just like, it's kind of a fact. And it's just like some of them, like, and at that point, it's like, who cares? Like, he brought that up with Carson Beck, where he's like, dude, like Carson Beck's a good football player and he's won a lot of football games. And he's like, the only thing about people don't like about him is the way he looks, and also that he gives off a little bit of like I'm like more confident and what's the word, like
he's more cocky than
more cocky. And Todd McShay's point with that was like, yeah, he's like that, but like behind the scenes, most of the greatest quarterbacks of all time are the exact same way. You just don't see it. So it's like, I don't care about that. Like I don't like Mekhi Lemon. Like, people, AJ's Burners brought up Mekhi Lemon. Like, the way he came off this week, a lot of people didn't like, and there was all these rumors and things about him and the videos that went viral of him. But like, at the end of the day, guess what? I said it to Klotz when we were sitting down in Lucas Oil Stadium. I looked at Klotz. It's not because he's from USC. The size that he is and the way he plays, he's going to be just very similar to an Amon-Ra St. Brown in the league. Like, he's going to get 8 to 10 catches a game, and he's going to have 70 to 100 yards a game, and he's going to be a really good football player for whoever gets him. And it's going to suck for some guys or some teams that pass on him because, he gives off a bad vibe. I don't buy it, man. He's probably.
I'm used to it. I'll deal with it. Like, wide receivers are known as divas. I don't really care about any of that shit. The only position I care about is quarterback. That's where I'm like, I get it. You can disagree, and that's fine. But I'm just more strict on quarterbacks.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
If you're more publicly, like, wide receivers, I don't care, bro. Like, Mekhi Lemon, yeah, is he, people are, by the way, he posted the video of him, and it's like he was giving people like weird vibes. And then you saw the report of him tanking interviews. I would still take Mekhi Lemon high, dude. He's still
me too, dude. If I need a receiver, if I'm in the top 20 and I need a receiver, I know Carnell Tate's going to be really good and he's going to go early. I'm going Mekhi Lemon next, dude. I would take it. Like, if you want your Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm telling you right now, like, you could clip this and in 2 years bring it up. Mekhi Lemon's like the Amon-Ra of this draft. And we got Amon-Ra in the 3rd round. You could get a guy like that with the production in the 1st round. And you do not, like, I was talking to DeHanch, who's in the chat usually. He's a Steelers guy. I messaged him and said, dude, like, you guys, like, if you guys can somehow get Mekhi Lemon in Pittsburgh, like, that's your guys' receiver of the future right there. Like, that's your dude. That's your Amon-Ra St. Brown. And you guys need that. They need that in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. By the way, Mike Reed donated $5 earlier. I didn't read it. Sorry about that, Mike. We're chopping it up, but appreciate the $5. Jeff and Booner, let's get a group together. Go to the Pistons game Saturday. You boys killed last week. Keep going. We appreciate you, Mike. The Pistons, by the way, shout out to the Pistons. Like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, they're freaking killing it right now. They really are. Red Wings as well. Shout out, Tigers are getting ready. So it's good to be a Detroit sports fan. That's for sure. By the way, Mekhi Lemon, the St. Brown. It's funny how the St. Brown comps in like Puka Nacua, these like technically sound wide receivers that aren't athletically off the charts, they like fall in the draft. I think now teams are starting to be like, okay, this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's like it's like the copy. It's like in the NFL, it's a copycat league when guys are really good, like Puka and Amon-Ra and these other types of receivers, like JSN didn't, he fell for whatever reason. People are like, oh yeah, let's take Mekhi Lemon. Let's not even think twice about it. Let's do it. Mekhi Lemon's a stud. He really
is. Dude,
is.
It's so good. Like, dude, I'm just looking at his Versus Illinois, top 25 matchup, 11 catches for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. What? What type of game? Iowa, top 25, 10 catches, 153 yards and a touchdown. Michigan, 9 catches, 93 yards and a touchdown. Oregon, he only had 34 yards, Jeff, but he had 7 yards and a touchdown. Or 2 touchdowns, I apologize. Like, he's very, like, lots of catches. Yeah. I wonder what his yards after catch, what that total is, if it's similar to, like, an Amon-Ra, like how he is.
So. Drop your mailbag questions. Burning issues mailbag. If you're building an MVP in any sport, list these traits by importance: effort, talent, IQ, physical attributes.
Well,
I think MVP in any sport.
I think one has to be physical attributes. You need to be good. If you're not good, you can't be an MVP. Like, if you don't have the
yeah. What if physical means? I don't know what that's kind of.
I guess it's the same as talent, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say talents first. To your point.
Yeah, okay. I would take physical attributes out. I would go talent, effort, and then IQ.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You got to be talented. You got to give effort, and if you're smart, then yeah, you're if you're a high IQ player, then yeah. You're going to physical attributes. I'd put probably last on that.
I think there's some MVP winners who might not have been the smartest in the world, but their talent and is just out of this world.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, talent, effort, IQ. It's like Giannis. Like, he's won MVP. Jokic, not the most physically talented, but talented. Like, he doesn't have the physical traits. The guy he has a big dad bod, but he's just insanely talented. Yeah. So definitely, I would put height, weight, speed at probably more. It helps, but it's not everything, as we kind of put in there. By the way, Lucas says if he falls outside top 15, those teams need to be sold. I don't know what he's talking.
Lions. I think he's talking about Mekhi Lemon. I think if he does, if
you're the Lions, outside those teams need to be sold. Yeah.
But if he falls outside the top 15, dude, and the Lions are at 17, dude, trade back, and there's going to be a team giving you a first next year to be like, I'll go get Mekhi Lemon.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Xavier says mailbag. Doc said Booner went and got digits and got shot down. Is that true? Doc lied. Doc is just spreading false information.
Listen, anything that Doc says,
the Doc, when he talks about what we're doing in Indy, it's all a lie.
Every single thing he says, anywhere. And I don't even. Everything's not true from the Doc,
except for when if he reports on the Lions.
Yeah,
I love the Doc. He's but in real life, if he's saying we're doing something, do not listen to the Doc. He tries to get us in some situations. So shout out to the Doc, but and not at all. He tries to get us in trouble. Zach's mailbag: would Najee Harris be a downgrade from Demo? Plus 3 Bama boys would lead the offense.
I think Najee Harris would be good.
Yeah,
Najee's good, dude.
He tore his Achilles too. I don't know about it.
Yeah, but like again, you don't need 1,000-yard back. Najee, every season he's played, he's had 1,000. Off an Achilles, he's what 700-800. Like that's his digression. He's not going to have to put a lot on it because you have Jahmyr Gibbs, but he has the talent.
Nick Chubb.
I don't think it's like I would rather have Najee Harris than Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was like, I feel like a little underwhelming coming off his.
Nick Chubb. Chubb.
I'm out on Nick Chubb. I'm out on Nick Chubb.
All right. We appreciate you all.
Dude said Nick Chubb. Where'd you come on Nick Chubb from?
He'll be a free agent.
Dude, if they sign Nick Chubb in replacement of David Montgomery. David Montgomery is the Houston Texans RB1 right now. Nick Chubb last year was RB like 2 or 3 on that team.
No, yeah,
so like,
I know dude. He was good. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm messing around. All right, we'll get out of here. Appreciate you all. We'll be back tomorrow. But until then, continue to support. Follow us on social media. Hit the like button on the stream before you go. It's free. It takes 3 seconds. Just hit the like button, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. Until then, we'll see you.